Hello, welcome to Devlog 2 of my upcoming indie game, Bloomed Ghoul. My name is Gabe, and for the past year and a half, I've been solo developing this 2D action roguelike where you play as a ghoul descending a living dungeon. Last devlog, I spoke about the general overview of the game, and as this is basically a continuation of that, I recommend you check that one out first. Or don't, I'm not the boss of you. This devlog, though, will go over the things I have that weren't showcased in the first devlog. More specifically, I'll be going over things like enemies and player progression. To preface enemies, though, I'll quickly go over the 4 factions in the game. Every enemy and creature in the game belongs to a faction, and each faction has its own visual distinctions and themes. Currently, they are as followed. The Hive, which are simple-minded insect-like creatures that tend to favor quantity over quality. The Demons, which are brutal, aggressive creatures that favor destruction and damage over logic. The Hollowed, which are decayed, often hopeless or unpredictable creatures that favor just not being confrontational. Many of the NPCs you encounter will be of this faction. And the Watchers, which have not yet been officially implemented, but will be twisted reflections of the other factions that tend to favor weakening prey before striking. For the Hive, there's the Maggots, a common pest that can be slain quite easily and is just overall pretty unimpressive. There's the Carrier, a larger enemy that spawns weaker maggots on a timer. And there's the Parasite, a flying enemy that can become bloated if it damages you, and if it's slayed while bloated, will explode. For the Demons, there's the Imp, a standard enemy that can attack you from range, and the Creeper, a bomb-shaped enemy that will not attack you directly, but will instead charge up while near you. If it charges up enough, it will self-destruct, letting out a large explosion that can damage you and even certain other enemies. I've also been working on 3 more enemies. The Hive's Drizzlemite, which is an enemy that leaves acid wherever it walks. Stepping on this acid currently gives you a debuff, which lowers your melee damage. The Shield Demon, which is immune to all damage, unless it is heavy attacked, at which point it becomes vulnerable. And the Hollowed's Corpse Eater, which is an enemy that will prioritize consuming corpses that you've left unattended in the room over attacking you. Furthermore, if it eats enough corpses, it'll decide it doesn't want to stick around anymore and will opt to just leave. The code for these are practically already in place. There's some tweaks that need to be made, of course, but overall they're functional. They're just missing art, as I've yet to decide on what they should look like. That said, if you have any ideas on what they could look like, feel free to put in the comments. As for bosses, there are currently 2, the Squirming Mass and the Tomb Tapper. The Squirming Mass is a simple, large boss that shoots out projectiles in multiple directions. If it gets low enough in HP, it will split into 2. If those split bodies then take enough damage, they will further split into 2 more. All split bodies have the ability to shoot out these same projectiles, and they all share the same amount of HP, so once enough damage has been overall done to all bodies, the boss is defeated. As for the Tomb Tapper, it's a tall and intimidating boss that deals high damage. If it doesn't hit you for a while, it will start sending out ranged shockwaves using its hammer, which can deal more damage than its melee attacks. Once it gets to half HP, it enters an enraged state, summoning 3 graves around the room and becoming empowered, dealing more damage and moving faster. If you destroy all 3 graves though, the boss will be incapacitated, and you can hit it for free with some of your attacks, before it resummons 3 more graves and continues its pursuit of you. As you progress through rooms, the dungeon's difficulty will increase. The higher the difficulty, the more enemies that can spawn. Different enemies have different spawn weights. To try and explain it simply, right now, as you enter a room, there is a calculated spawn amount. Every time the game chooses a type of enemy to spawn, it subtracts from the spawn amount an amount equal to that enemy type's spawn weight. So if the spawn amount, for instance, is 5, and the carrier's spawn weight is 4, when it spawns the carrier, it subtracts 4 from 5. Pretty simple. Furthermore, defeating a boss increases the depth of the dungeon. This in turn increases the HP that all enemies have and affects several other aspects of specific enemies. For instance, like the max amount of maggots that a single carrier can spawn. To keep up with the increase in difficulty, there are 3 game components that you as the player can play around with to increase your effectiveness. And those are upgrades, which I explained in the previous devlog, stats, which affect many aspects of how you play the game, and graftings, which are body parts you can switch out with. There are 8 stats in the game: strength, which increases melee damage, dexterity, which increases attack speed and evasion, which is a chance to ignore damage on being hit, vitality, which increases health, endurance, which increases pith regenerates, willpower, which increases maximum pith, intellect, which increases magic damage, presence, which decreases merchant prices, and luck, which increases crit chance, which is a chance to deal double damage with an attack. Stats will also play a role in several interactions throughout the game, such as a higher presence, allowing certain NPC interactions to be unlocked, and a higher luck, allowing anything chance related to be slightly more in your favor. I initially had more stats, but lowered them down to 8 since I felt it was getting too complicated. Even still, I'm not sure if having 8 stats is really necessary, so I might see changes in the near future, but I'll have to see through more development and playtesting. The way you increase stats at the moment is through paying gemstones at a campsite, which you acquire through completing challenge rooms and defeating bosses. Graftings work similar to armor systems of other games and essentially act like passive abilities in this game, except they typically also affect your stats in some way. The appendages that you can swap are 2 eyes, your skull, your skin, 2 arms, and 2 legs. Currently, there is no way to really acquire graftings, but I'm planning to have them tied to quest rewards and unique interactions you encounter as you play. And with that all said, that's now basically everything I have currently for Bloomed Ghoul, excluding things like NPCs, plot points, and other smaller miscellaneous things. I'll eventually go over those topics on another devlog, but for the time being, I'm content with these first 2 covering everything I have so far. Future devlogs will go over new progress I'm making now, and as a result, will be naturally more spaced out. I want to focus on the game first and foremost, so I expect devlogs going forward to be uploaded a lot more spread apart. So if you want to stay up to date and follow along, be sure to subscribe. You can also leave a like or comment if you want. Liking the video helps a lot with like the algorithm and whatnot, and I just like reading all comments that you guys have. But again, that's everything for now. So stay tuned and thanks so much for watching.